Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Shortly after the release of an audio recording this past Saturday morning of a conversation that allegedly included Clippers owner Donald Sterling, the NBA commenced an investigation. That investigation is now complete, and that the hateful opinions are those of Mr. Sterling. The views expressed by Mr. Sterling are deeply offensive and harmful. Accordingly, effective immediately, I am banning Mr. Sterling for life from any association with the Clippers organization or the NBA. I am also fining Mr. Sterling $2.5 million, the maximum amount allowed under the NBA Constitution.
Never knows how you come across somebody once in a while you shouldn't have messed with. That's me.
I am not an African American.
You're an Oreo cookie, white in the inside and black on the outside.
I don't have an afro, I have an Amerifro.
Talking that idiotic stuff you talk about, I would slap you.
Go ahead, make my day.
Black as the ace of spades, but 100% American.
Heard around the world by everybody and their mama. The Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show.
Uniting the races with truth instead of dividing them with lies. We're also rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Welcome to the second hour of the Wednesday edition of the Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show. Michael Skolnik is with me. He is political director to Russell Simmons and editor-in-chief of Global Grind. He wrote an article, "There is no room in America for Donald Sterling." And I'm wondering, wherever they want to send Donald, will they also send Barack Obama, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, most of the black preachers, and the race hustlers along with Mr. Sterling? Michael, I want to ask, and we will get to your calls, folks. Now that they have attacked Donald Sterling, the NBA commissioner banned him for life. They fined him $2.5 million. How will regular black people benefit from all of this? How would they be helped from this or by this?
Well, I think the nation is uplifted by the support against racism. So I don't think that just regular black people are going to be helped by this. I think the entire nation is going towards a more perfect union and fighting for more compassion and tolerance and generosity. And the fact that we see a businessman is worth X billions of dollars be reprimanded and suffer the consequences for saying racist remarks shows that there are consequences for your actions.
Amazing.
And we're not going to just let these things slide by. And as a nation, we're united against that.
If not all, most white people are not feeling uplifted at all by these Mr. Bundy situation, Cleveland Bundy situation, or Sterling's situation. If anything, they feel the weight of hatred from black Americans. How will we ever end racism in America if we don't deal with black racism from black folks to white folks? And that's what we see happening to Mr. Sterling, Mr. Bundy. They are receiving black racism toward them. How will we end it if we don't deal with black racism? Remember the knockout violence?
Which wasn't true. Which wasn't true.
What do you mean wasn't true?
There was no such thing as a knockout game. The NYPD, Ray Kelly said that clearly.
Oh, Jesus.
It was one guy who was arrested for 13 assaults on people. One guy. That's not a knockout game. That's one knucklehead who's knocking out 13 people. And that man is in prison.
Michael, I reported those incidents months in and months out.
Yeah, but you're not the police department.
Around the country.
You're a radio host.
So what do you call them?
The city of New York said there was no such thing as a knockout game. It was one person.
It was just one person.
Yeah, call Ray Kelly and ask him. Don't ask me. He said
Michael,
it.
So you're in denial. You're in denial
I'm
about.
not denied. You said the truth. Let's look
you're
at the
in
truth.
denial
Let's not make
about
up stories, Jesse.
Because of time, let's go back. let's go back to my question. How will we end racism in America?
I'm happy to go back to your question because you know you're wrong on that point.
How will
the answer to your question, Jesse,
how will we?
hold on,
Michael. Hold on.
I'm white. I'm going to answer your question. I'm white. And I think what Donald Sterling said, I think what Clive Bundy said is racist. I don't think there is an overwhelmingly majority of black people who are upset. I think the entire nation is upset. You don't see any Tea Party members standing by Clive Bundy now.
Because they're afraid to. They're afraid to be called racist.
Because they're not racist.
Michael,
most Tea Party members in this country are not racist.
The entire country is not united in what happened with Mr. Bundy or Mr. Sterling. Believe me, I'm not in agreement with what happened to those two men.
Do you think what Clive Bundy said was racist?
I want to go back to my original question.
Do you think, what Clive Bundy said was racist? You can defend him.
Absolutely not.
Clive Bundy?
Absolutely not. Not at all.
Do you think what he said wasn't racist?
No, it wasn't.
Okay. But calling black people the N-word is a good thing? We should go back to 1924 and call them the N-word?
Michael, hold on.
Answer that question,
No, you're not answering my question.
I just answered it.
How are we going to end racism in America if we don't deal with black...
We're going to end racism in America by talking about racism. And we know historically in this country for the past 400 years, the majority of racism in this country has been white on black. We know that.
Do you agree with me that most blacks are racist toward white folks?
No.
You don't agree?
I don't speak on behalf of any group
of people. Do you agree with me?
Most this and most that.
Do you agree with me that Sharpton and Jackson are racist?
No.
How about Obama?
No.
So just white racism out there, right?
You didn't say a white person. I think Donald Sterling is racist.
Are white people racist?
There are black people who are racist and there are white people who are racist.
No.
I don't think Sharpton, Jackson,
now you're throwing in the black folks.
That was the question you asked.
So are most white people racist toward blacks?
No.
Yes, there white.
You said most. I never used the word most. You used
most black
times.
people racist toward whites?
There are some black people who are racist toward white people. Absolutely. And there are some white people who are racist towards black people.
Michael,
yes.
How will we end racism if we don't deal with black racism toward white folks?
We got to deal with all of it. We got to deal with all of it.
Give me a couple examples of black racism toward white people.
I've heard it with my own ears. It's not the point of I think we all know that. I'm not denying that. I've heard black people with my own ears.
Give me a couple examples of black racism toward white folks.
Jesse, that's not the point. The point is Donald Sterling made a comment, and the country is united against racism.
Michael.
We're united.
Michael, you're running.
One of three people.
You're running,
Jesse,
Michael.
You might be one of three people.
No, I'm not one of three.
United.
Michael, I'm one of thousands. Let me ask.
Let's hear thousands of callers on your show that will call and defend Donald Sterling.
888.
I haven't heard one.
Okay, 888.
If you write a piece, Jesse, write a piece defending him. I will publish it on my site.
I will do that. I got your word on that. Hold on.
And I will publish it on my site.
Okay, so if I write an article
saying Donald Sterling is not racist.
Okay, and you
I will happily publish it as a supporter of our American Constitution, a believer in free speech. I will happily support your free speech and put it on our site.
Global Grind.
GlobalGrind.com.
Okay.
6.5 million people a month.
Well, I will do that, sir. I have your word on that.
You have my words, signed in blood.
And you're not going to hide and run and pretend you didn't get the article?
I don't hide. I called you. I said yes to you. Why would I hide?
Okay.
I'm on the phone with you right now for the second time.
Let's go back to my question. Give me a couple examples of black racism toward white folks.
Jesse, we agree on that already.
No,
we agree that exists.
But you're not giving me an example.
I'm not going to talk about private encounters where I've had conversations with people who have been
racist. Give me one example.
One example of a black person being racist to a white person?
Yes.
That's not the point.
That is the point.
Why
is that not the point?
Because the point is that this country is united against racism.
So how come they are only united against white racism but not black racism?
Because majority of the cases in this country is white on black. If you don't see that, I'm sorry.
Okay,
you're living in a bubble. Maybe you're living in a mansion somewhere, and that you're living in a bubble.
Michael,
come down with me to my community, and I'll go to your community, and we'll talk to people on the street who are living in reality, and we know that the majority of race in this country is white on black.
That's not true.
Well, where do you live, Jesse?
And just because the people said it,
Jesse, where
doesn't mean it's true.
Jesse, where do you live?
I live in Los Angeles.
What part of Los Angeles?
Pico, Fairfax district, somewhere around in there.
The Pico Fairfax district.
Yes.
So I'm going to be in LA in 2 weeks.
Okay.
You and I walk through Pico and Fairfax, that district. Let's have conversation with people on the street and ask them what they think.
All
and
right.
then you can tell me it's not true.
And then I'll have
you
you.
come to Brooklyn. You come to my neighborhood in Brooklyn. We'll walk through Brooklyn. We'll talk to folks in Brooklyn, and then we can say it's not true.
I'll have them. I'll have you in studio too while you're here.
I would love that.
When we come back from this break, we're going to take calls. 888-7753-773. Michael want to hear someone defend Mr. Sterling or Mr. Bundy. Back in a moment, folks.